two sisters being chased and put upon by aliens who have no qualms about murdering them, and it's still the American healthcare system that breaks them.
We have a blue dog to catch.
Shut up! No, wait!
I went in thinking there's no way they can mess it up because this is just too good. And yet there's also no way they can get it right because it's just too good. And yet somehow both of those thoughts were correct. Yeah, this film, it's not a bad film in its own right, okay? It's not. It's just also not quite Lilo and Stitch, if you ask me, yeah. I feel like one of the big things going on here is the budget. They were clearly Disney trying to keep it down like a lot because they blitz through that opening sequence. They take a lot less time, it feels like, than the original's opening, and it was a short animated movie. And that's just because it was all aliens and CGI heavy. And then they add in 20-30 minutes of new human characters and Jumba and Pleakley in human form, so it's once again less CGI heavy. I mean, they were so desperate to leave aliens out of this as much as possible that they basically reduced Stitch to a side character, and they got rid of Gantu and made Jumba pull double duty. Lilo and Stitch is the ding 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 lucky 1000th Disney live-action remake. You win a prize where right-wing people aren't going to trash your movie because Hawaiian people are, well, they're white enough, I suppose, for them, and Pleakley is a literal alien who's so confused about Earth customs that he thinks a cowboy is some sort of monstrous fusion of the two. So it's fine for him to kind of not really cross-dress. I think they're just not angry about it online because they can't even figure out if what he's wearing in this are actually really women's clothes or not. And basically, Lilo, who is just as weird almost in this one, more adorable, she adopts Stitch, who's much more of an actual just pet in this film instead of like a leading character of his own. And then Jumba, who created Stitch, is angry and is a mad scientist, and he comes after Stitch, willing to go through humans for a shortcut, and isn't very well handled by Pleakley, who's not a very capable agent, if we're being honest about it. So it does make sense, actually, that he would be the villain of this film when you actually think about all of that, but he also shouldn't be. Yeah, they remove a few things like Stitch kissing old ladies and saying that Elvis Presley was a model citizen. They still dress him like Elvis, though, at one point, yeah. And they add in a few things like asking, how is Nani after her parents died and she's been forced to give up on her dreams and look after her little sister? And also they actually say, hey, in the Ohana capital of the world, maybe we should add in a neighbor who gives a fuck and wants to help out these two children after their parents died. That's nice, yeah. And also they add in that maybe, you know, owning your best friend, having papers saying you own him isn't the best reason to be able to keep him at the end of the film. It's fine, anyway. So there's a lot going on here. I feel like it's nitpicky, but one of my complaints about this film in both versions is that everyone acts like Stitch is a dog when he is evil, craves destruction, and he's cute and fluffy. He's obviously a cat. So there's plenty that makes sense about it. There's also some issues I have. The opening scene is trash. They fucked it up. They basically did exactly the same thing in that scene, which they didn't do, credit to them for most of the film, but they fucked it up. They butchered it, all seemingly in the name of just not having to do as much CGI work. And speaking of which, the finale is also weak shit. Like, instead of the two spaceships chasing each other through the skies, Stitch coming out and having to throw the truck into lava so he can rocket into the sky. Nope. None of that. Get it out of here. They're just going to drive some cars and hope that they can get there, and then that one ship on its own just crashes into the water. Lilo is great. Fantastically cast, adorable, pretty much just as weird as in the original film. Nani, way expanded upon. Wasn't necessarily that much work on making her the outright main character of this film, but, you know, it was fine. The problem is that, yeah, they tried to reduce drastically the role of aliens in this. There were times where Lilo and Nani were doing their own things so much that honest to God, when Stitch turned up again, I was like, oh my God, I forgot he was in this. I enjoyed this. I just think it's frustrating that they brought Stitch back and they brought Chris Sanders back to voice him again. And then they basically turned him from a leading character into an actual pet. Yeah, he actually feels like a pet, an ornament, a side piece in this film. And Lilo, as weird as she is, as great casting as it is, you lose something, definitely. In putting a young, like, child, like, she's meant to be 6, and I know the actress probably isn't actually 6, but you lose something in putting that into live action, because there's only so much that a 6-year-old actual child actor can do to make this character cartoony, and Lilo is viciously cartoony in the original, you know? So you had to totally change her, and they did, and they, to some degree, get away with that, but also, and also, the screen time, yeah, Nani has by far the most, I'm convinced. It certainly feels that way. So I'm giving Nani and the harsh realities of growing up in modern day America 3.5 stars. Feels like such an adjacent thing to Lilo and Stitch. It doesn't feel like that's what it is, really. And it's very frustrating in a number of ways. You're just never going to get more than 1 or 2 of these live action remakes that are actual hits in their own right. I feel like, you know, you're going to get lucky once or twice. The rest of them are just going to be for Disney adults who figured out they don't actually like animation that much.